Well, it's snowing in the junkyard today, so I always say if you can't see them, don't try to show them. But in the meantime, enjoy this blast from the past. Steve Mignani here doing the junkyard crawl, or am I? Well, I'm actually out in the woods. Actually, this is the roadside crawl. Here in New England, especially in Brimfield, Massachusetts, you can find cool cars kind of just off the road. Case in point, a pair of 1954 Hudsons. This one is a Hornet, and again, 1954 was the final year for Hudson in its independent mode. It merged with Rambler in 1954-55, and from 1955 through 58, well, Ramblers and Hudsons, or Nashes I should say, shared the same shell. And we can see right here, this is Motor Trend March of 55. And what happened was, the same body shell, which was a Nash piece, was used for both the Hudsons and the Nashes in 1954, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And Hudson would be gone after 1958, but they arrived in 1910 and were actually one of the more advanced automakers in the country. Now, this is a 54. Now, no V8s in Hudsons until you get into 55. But if we look under the hood here, this one has the big 6-cylinder engine. Now, here's the crazy thing. Up till 52, you could get an 8-cylinder Hudson with 254 cubic inches, but there were also 3 6-cylinder engines with 232, 262, and 308 cubes. This one is a 2-barrel. I can see the remains of the intake with a single 2-barrel carburetor, but this has the aluminum head, that light color on the head. This is the optional high compression aluminum head. Pretty cool. And the only thing better than this is a twin H power car. We'll get to that in a second. Now, Hudson, starting in 1948, had something called step-down design. Now, these were unit construction cars, not body on frame, but if we take the camera and look in here, the footwell area, you can see where the sill is kind of tall, the floor goes down inside, and that was Hudson's step-down design. And the whole point there was that the frame was like a guardrail around your body, theoretically, and beyond that, it allowed for a lower floor, for a lower driver's position, and a sleeker overall profile. Now, this one here has the 3-speed manual transmission, the clutch pedal on the floor. This one is probably a radio delete car. The reason I say that is even though there's a hole in the dash where the plate was probably removed, that big hole over there, this, as a radio car, would have an antenna right here. The antenna would stick up like that, and you'd actually tune it from inside the car with a knob. There's no hole, so more than likely this was not built originally with a radio. Now, this is a 4-door Hudson Hornet, and that 6-cylinder engine is either the 308, the 262, or the 232, I believe it was. But again, here's that crazy streamlined torpedo type design seen specifically on Hudsons. And the weird thing about Hudsons too is that the rear wheel opening, kind of like same era Nashes, there's no opening. The wheel is tucked inside, so it made for a very streamlined or bizarre looking car, you choose. 1954 was the final year again for this step-down torpedo-shaped body, and just nice little touches like the gas filler door right here on the back. Fill her up with leaded fuel. All the leaded fuel you want goes right in that right there. And here at the back we have the optional bumper guards here. Here's the Hudson logo on the back. And again, 1910, first year for Hudson. And, you know, an innovative car. And again, this is what we used to call one of the independents versus the big three. Chrysler, General Motors, and Ford. The big three, well, we had American Motors, Rambler, Studebaker, Hudson, and Packard. But again, this is a 54, but it's only one of 2 cars here on this site. So let's take a walk. Look at that in the distance. Okay, let's keep going. Now, I think that's another 54. The thing I love about the junkyard crawl, or in this case, the roadside crawl, is that you don't know what it is until you get to it. So another 4-door, another Hudson Hornet. Oh, look at this on the trunk. See, it says H power. That said twin H power. This was a 2-carburetor car when it was new, and that means it once had the 308, the big 308 cubic inch 6 with twin carburetors. This was as powerful as it got in a Hudson in 1954. Inside, the window doesn't open, but this has the Hydromatic. That automatic transmission right there was purchased from General Motors. Hudson didn't have their own transmission, so GM's Hydromatic division would supply them with the 4-speed automatic. Now, that's not an overdrive, but rather a big cast iron tranny that was also used in Cadillacs And Lincoln also took a bite of the GM Hydra-Matic automatic transmission. Now this one here would have a twin H-Power emblem right here, or it did long ago. Can't open the hood. This tree, that's got to weigh about 800 pounds, so can't get that off of there. But again, this is a twin H-Power 4-door Hudson Hornet. Now, if you watch the movie Cars, I think there was a Hudson character in there, Doc Hudson. Steve McQueen or Paul Newman played the voice of that. But one thing about the Hudson is it has a huge NASCAR history. Fronty Flock, Tim Flock, the Flock brothers were major NASCAR drivers in the 50s running Hudsons. And again, with that step-down body design, they sat so low, they rode around corners better than a lot of the competition, even with the big 6-cylinder engine. Now, another thing too, his Hudson's racing program was run by a guy named Vince Piggins. He was behind the twin H-Power engines, the 7X engines. Well, Vince Piggins went to General Motors, and if you like a thing called the Camaro Z28, Vince Piggins was behind that too. So here we have it, man, a pair of 54 Hudsons, the final year for the Hudson body style before the Nash merger, which a lot of folks call hash, as in Hudson and Nash. The hash is for 55 through 58, but you just never know what you're going to find on the side of the road. So keep your eyes open, and if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel.